Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Cook, and this is Speech 2. Today, I want to discuss something that is, very important to me, and that is communication, and how we've been communicating with each other up until recently and in the last few decades. This is my keywords I will be using. So to begin, recently we have seen that Facebook and Twitter are using very aggressive means to get viewers. And what I mean by that is on Facebook and on Twitter, they will feature the most divisive content intentionally in order to have more people view their content. Now, the problem with this is what it does is it moves the political center to both sides, left and right? So like now, anybody who has a general opinion that's not exactly inflammatory, right? Well, no one wants to listen to that. No one wants to buy it on social media, so it doesn't sell as well. And so we have what you get is more and more extreme opinions on both sides and less communication between both sides, because both opinions are becoming more and more radicalized. So this is what you end up with is a very Orwellian situation, right? In the sense that the citizens only hope for really overcoming this communication bubble is communicating with each other. However, the very thing that is stopping this communication is what they have to overcome. And so it's it's a very complicated situation. Mainly, the issue is that most people get their news from Facebook or Twitter. About 50% of Americans, according to Forbes magazine and a professor named Andy Caitlin, said that 50% of Americans get their news from Facebook. This is generally because Americans are busy, doing other things. People have a job, they have a family to take care of. They can't simply sit and watch Fox News all day or CNN or go and check their sources, so they get what's convenient. They get Facebook or they get Twitter. The issue with this is that neither of those are legitimate news sources, and they use the news, they'll manipulate the story to ensure that their customers will continue to use Facebook, and they will stay on for 8 hours a day. How many of us know someone who's addicted to their phone? We all know somebody. It's a very common modern problem. And the reason is, it's been engineered that way. Silicon Valley has engineered our phones to have the most addicting and titillating bells and whistles, so that we're always trying to get the zap. You know what I mean? You want to play with your phone, you want the zap. You want the feeling that you're being fulfilled by looking at your emails, by checking the people who've liked you, right? You want the affirmation, the social affirmation. At least some of us do, and that's why a lot of people use it. The problem is, it leads to a sort of wanton pining. And to define that, what that is when you don't even want what you want, but you want to want. You see, it's when people don't even want to be accepted, they just like the idea of being accepted. And the likes fulfill that. And so, it doesn't compare. The reason I say they don't really want to be accepted is because the family or your friends, they're those who can actually accept you as you are, because they're ones who actually know you as you are, right? As far as it goes on Instagram, as people see images of pancakes or your butt on the beach, it's not a very in-depth way of knowing you, and it definitely doesn't lead to fulfillment, not in the truest sense, not in the senses of you having another relation with another human being and you are both alive to that same conversation, right? There's a common ground to be found. That way you can relate to each other. However, what I have found on social media and what experts have found researching it is that the common ground in a conversation which is usually the staple of a conversation. That's the building blocks on which it can be founded. It doesn't exist necessarily on social media in the political realm, especially. Why? Because it's not conducive for polarization, and polarization is conducive for more avid viewers. So that's really what we come down to. It really comes down to that these companies have wanted to excite the public into such a mania that they would buy whatever they were selling. And whether that be information, whether that be a physical product, the effect has been we are no longer able to communicate in long-form discussion to the extent that we were able to do so in the past. Why? Well, it's a complicated situation, and it really has to do with our children. Children now, more so than ever, have had less and less public interaction. Parents park their children in front of TVs or in front of their iPhones and tell them, have a good day. Learn what all you can. Raise yourself practically. When this happens, psychologically, a child's brain is not socially activated. There are parts of the brain that are socially activated in childhood due to physical interaction with parents, friends, and family. And if this does not happen, in the future, the child will feel severe social anxiety and will have a hard time making friends and relating to peers. This is because their brain is not chemically evolved or has not been chemically activated to engage in those sorts of things, because the child didn't have to engage in those sorts of things when they were just playing with their iPad. It's a different effect. It's not the full stimulus. So how are we going to curb this pandemic of social anxiety and a malaise on our communication? I wouldn't say the solution is simple, but it most definitely isn't super complicated. It's not as complicated as the issue. To solve this issue, what I believe we ought to do is disconnect from social media a little bit. Try to talk to friends in real life instead of just, over Twitter or people who claim to be friends on Twitter. Talk to people you really know. Talk to people who trust you. Disconnect for a little while. Maybe meditate. Find a center. In order to cut through chaos, we must find order within ourselves. And that, I think, order within ourselves, I do believe that is the antidote. Thank you.